Have covered some ground together, that's for sure. They joined the Big East together way back in 1991. Miami leads the all-time series 19-13. This is a critical game. Whoever wins stays on track in the ACC. The loser will take a huge hit and get even more flack from the critics. Virginia Tech won the toss. They elected to defer. Miami in all green today. Joey Sly has it in the air. And we're underway here in Miami. Corn Elder will take a knee in the end zone, and the Canes will start from the 25. Brad Kaya, the starting quarterback for Miami, the sophomore from LA, a true pocket passer, leads the ACC in passing and total offense.
There is not much to dislike about Brad Kaya. This guy knows how to play the position. He plays well beyond his years. He's only a sophomore. He has great size, and he has terrific toughness about him. And that's something that they hope changes, because with a big shakeup on the offensive line today, they want to take some pressure in the hits off of the young sophomore.
First play for Miami from the 25. They give it to Joe Yearby. And Miami definitely needs to get the run game going today. The coaching staff told us that yesterday. They netted only 20 yards last week against Florida State, their lowest total in 2 years.
Can't win consistently, can't be productive if you can't run the football, and you have to be able to at least own the line of scrimmage 50% of the time in your run game. That hasn't happened for the Canes.
And that run game ranks 12th in the ACC, and that's not a good start, as there's some motion on that Miami line. It's been a real problem spot, unless this is against Virginia Tech.
Ball start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And Clay, this is something that offensive coordinator James Coley harped on this week. Too many penalties, too many negative plays that puts this offense off track and behind the chains. That can't make anybody on that Canes sidelines happy.
Ton of changes on that O-line this week. 4 different starters for the Canes from last week in Tallahassee. Kaya wants to throw for the first time. Has a man downfield. Out of the backfield, Yearby hauls it in for a big gain out close to the 48-yard line.
That's a sensational catch by a running back. And great touch on the football. Kaya has the presence to know who he's throwing to, and he just puts a little touch on the football, and he allows Joseph Yearby to use that right hand and go up and get the football. Boy, that's good execution.
Pickup of 25 yards, first down and 10 from the 48 on the opening series for the Canes. And Yearby will take it again, a pickup of 3. They are trying to put that Florida State loss behind them, John. You know, the last couple of years, Miami has not recovered well, including a loss to Virginia Tech here a couple of years ago. It is so important they get out to a good start today.
It's the hangover they haven't been able to overcome, and they want to do it with more explosive plays offensively. Watch for a guy like Stacy Coley, who's in the slot, to be a big target today.
Play fake. Kaya taking another shot downfield for Rashawn Scott. This one ends up incomplete. It'll be third down, and third and long has not been good for Miami this year. What are the keys when Miami has it?
Well, it's very simple for Miami. They have to win in the trenches. They have to win up front. There's 3, possibly 4 changes on that offensive line if Nick Linder goes in and out of the game at center. So as a group, they have to run the football and take some pressure off of Kaya. And then defensively for Virginia Tech, they have to avoid the chop block. That's what beat them last year in Blacksburg. The offensive line got after them. They have to stay on their feet and make plays.
Just over 30% on third down this year, and they don't convert here. They were trying to hit Yearby out of the backfield again. So Kaya will unsnap his helmet and head to the sideline. Fourth down as Miami will have to punt.
They were better, the Canes were, last week in Tallahassee on third down, but today you want to be able to get that opening drive and get momentum. Maybe the defense makes a play to kind of ignite that team.
Justin Vogel on to punt for the first time for Miami. The very dangerous Greg Stroman is back to return for the Hokies. And he fields it at the 9. heads to the far sideline, and he is cut down in his tracks. Good coverage by the Hurricanes, leading the charge, red wine. So the Hokies will be backed up to start this series, and it was a game-time decision as whether Michael Brewer would start or not. It's going to be Brendan Motley making his 6th straight start since Brewer got hurt in week 1.
Well, he had some confidence issues early, but I think he got on track last week against NC State, especially in the second quarter. 3 touchdown passes. His teammates respect him, and I think he's getting more confidence and more comfortable with this offense.
Trayvon McMillan getting the start at tailback this week. He's in the backfield to the right of Motley. And he keeps it. Brendan Motley is definitely a dual threat quarterback for the Hokies. And they like them kind of quarterbacks up there in Blacksburg.
Well, I think Coach Beamer knows how to get the best out of those mobile quarterbacks. He did it with Tyrod Taylor. Obviously, he did it with Michael Vick. And now Brendan Motley is one of those guys that gives you the ability to use his athleticism either in the run game, the zone read, or out on the edge. Or when things break down in the passing game, he can tuck it and run.
Coming off his best performance by far since being named the starter. Oh, he lost it in the backfield.
That's a fumble.
And they turned it over. Recovered by Trent Harris, the outside linebacker from Miami.
That's
Big
the
play for the Canes. They didn't have any takeaways last week. They get one on the opening defensive series.
That's a huge key for Miami. They wanted takeaways. Al Golden has preached it all week, and they finally get a big play in the opposition's red zone. This is just, you lose the football sometimes as a quarterback, especially in South Florida where humidity plays an issue. Motley just lost it as he was trying to get the football down the field, and Trent Harris, very opportunistic for the Canes, hops on the fumble.
Look at that turnover margin for Miami, +9. That's tied for 5th in the nation. And they've got it inside the 5. Kaya gives it to Yearby, straight ahead toward the end zone. Did he get in? Yes, he did. Touchdown, Hurricanes. Costly mistake for the Hokies, and Miami makes them pay.
Clay, when you go 3 and out offensively, you're looking for a spark. The defense provided it, and then this big change up front with the offensive line pushing Joseph Yearby to break the plane of the goal line, and the Canes are in for 6.
Michael Badgley coming on for the extra point. And it's 7-0 Canes. There's the toolbox. Trent Harris gets in the face of Motley, recovers, and Miami takes it in for 6. Disappointing start to Brendan Motley's day. He fumbles the snap, gives Miami a gift inside the 5, and that defense for the Canes, John, needed a fast start today, and Yearby takes it in from 3 yards out.
Well, Yearby did the easy work. He cleaned it up, but that defense was able to force a turnover, and that's something that this team was looking for on defense. They needed to force a fumble. They needed to get an interception. Close the field down for that offense and make it easier to score points early in football games.
John Samarine kicks it deep. And this is Darion Green, the junior from Virginia. And brings it across the 20 to the 25 and down at the 26-yard line, where the Hokies offense will try to get on track. They didn't have much of an opportunity to do that before the big play by Harris. Let's go back to last week. FSU and the lead. Brad Kaya finds Stacy Coley, and then on the ensuing Florida State possession, Dalvin Cook, who had a terrific night, takes it in to give the Noles the lead back, and then it's batted down on the last chance for Miami. 29-24, the final. 6th straight loss for the Canes. They're still stinging from that around here. There's Trayvon McMillan. He's got a first down and more, a stiff arm. He gets out close to midfield. He moved up the depth chart, as we mentioned. 97 yards, a key fourth quarter touchdown last week. He gave that offense a much needed lift.
He does, and he's explosive. That's what this offense needed, and you can see Virginia Tech moving the tempo early in this game.
It's a gain of 22. It's McMillan again. And he'll get about 4. You know, Al Golden now 0-5 against Florida State. That's probably the biggest beef from the fans around here. But again, he told you and I there were so many positives to take from that game.
They had opportunities to win that game, and they just didn't get it done because they dominated Florida State and pushed them around a little bit in that second half, especially with their defense. That's why they have some momentum coming into this game, coming back home to Sun Life Stadium. And that early turnover, that always helps you.
Trent Harris recovering that fumble. Now here's Motley scrambling out of the pocket. He'll loft it downfield. Has a man, Bucky Hodges, and he hauls it in for a big play along the sideline. The big tight end, who they use more like a wide receiver, picks up 35, and now they're in the red zone.
Bucky Hodges is the mismatch guy for Virginia Tech offensively. He's able to get by coverage, and his big body allows him to get the football. And I'm not so sure if he didn't step out of bounds possibly as he was going by a Miami defender.
Referee Dwayne Height.
Miami is challenging and rolling on the field.
Al Golden will challenge the call on the field, which was a reception by Bucky Hodges.
Hodges looks like he stays in bounds there and has the football, but it does look like it moves once he rolls to his back. And I'm not so sure if the ball gets to the ground and that aids him in securing the catch. That's a tough one. You definitely see the ball move when Hodges goes to his back. I think the catch is clean initially, but there again, the ball kind of shifts as he goes to his back.
Corn Elder in the coverage for Miami. And he may have helped move that football a little bit, John, when he came in to tackle Hodges. So it's in the hands now of Joe Ryder, our replay official upstairs. They're looking for...
Clay, what might have happened also is that it looks like Hodges may have caught the football and then his foot touches out of bounds. So I'm not sure if that play, you know, he completes the catch there and then rolls to the side. He may have already caught the football and then stepped out of bounds because that knee, his right side, lands in bounds. Let's take a look at this again.
It's got to be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field, which was a catch. Here's another look.
Prior to Miami calling a timeout, we were being notified about the ruling on the field. After review, the ruling on the field stands. It is a completion. First down.
I think what happened there is he catches the football and he secures it, but before he had contact and the ball moves by the ground, he actually, his foot lands out of bounds.
So a big play for the Hokies stands up.
That's a huge play for the Hokies. After giving the football to Miami inside their own 5-yard line, they get a big chunk yardage play to move it inside the red zone.
Play fake. Motley under pressure throws toward the end zone. That's going to be incomplete.
Wow, that was a risky throw. Not a good decision by Motley at quarterback.
Jermaine Grace, the linebacker, in on the coverage.
You never want to force the football here, especially into a crowd, and that's what it was. Wow, it almost looked like that was a clean catch by a Miami defender in the secondary. Jermaine Grace.
Boy,
you can't tell if his foot is out of bounds.
Yeah, was he in bounds? That's the question.
Exactly.
That's what they'll be looking on this one. So this one's under review.
First of all, a horrendous decision by a young quarterback to throw that into a crowd. There's 6 bodies, and there's 5 green jerseys around the goal line. It looks like Grace's left foot may have hit the pylon.
Yeah, his foot is out of bounds. So the ruling on the field, an incompletion. Or was that Muhammad's foot?
It may have been Muhammad, the linebacker, that hits the pylon, and Grace may be the one that's in bounds. I think it's Muhammad, number 8,
foot.
that hits the pylon, and it looked like a pretty good catch on the interception attempt by Grace.
If this is overturned and it's another takeaway from Miami,
it is.
How huge will that be for the Hurricanes? They had no takeaways last week. When we talked to Mark D'Onofrio, he said that was the biggest reason he felt that they did not beat Florida State last week.
That's the way you change a complexion of a football game. You get a couple of turnovers, you get one that turns into 7 points, and now you take points or opportunities potentially away from Virginia Tech if this is overturned.
Joe Ryder very busy here in the first quarter. Our replay official.
I think it was definitely Muhammad.
Ruling on the field, an incompletion.
The pylon when the reception was made, incomplete pass. Ruling on the field stands.
So Virginia Tech ducking another huge offensive mistake.
That's something that you get second life. You get another opportunity if you're a quarterback in Brendan Motley. You do not want to force the football down here and take points off of the board.
Greg Stroman in the backfield. Recently converted defensive back. Now a wide receiver for the Hokies. He'll go in motion. Fake the speed sweep to him. Motley keeps it, and he'll dive ahead for a couple. Calvin Hurtley, the nose tackle, in on the stop. So now 3rd down for Virginia Tech at the 11.
Good play by Hurtley, staying at home because it was full flow to the wide side of the field. Now can the Canes come up with another big play here to hold Virginia Tech to a field goal opportunity? Usually Bucky Hodges, who split out to the wide side of the field, he's right here. He's your mismatch guy with size at 6'7".
Rodgers goes in motion, sets up to the left of Motley, who wants to throw. Trouble in the pocket, and he's brought down. Quan Muhammad coming off the best game of his career last week with the sack to force 4th down.
This is Muhammad's 2nd start as a Miami Hurricane. Last week against FSU, he was physical. Here on 3rd down, he's physical. He just bull rushes McLaughlin, the tackle from Virginia Tech, and finds the quarterback. That's a terrific individual play. Good strength.
Earning his 2nd career start today with the play last week. So now Joey Sly comes on for the field goal attempt from 30 yards out. He knocks it home. But I think that's a win, John, for that Miami defense.
It is. It's a win for the Hurricanes defensively. They keep Virginia Tech out of the end zone, but Virginia Tech does get some momentum with the field goal.
So the defense for Miami, the story so far, in a turnover, it leads to a short touchdown run, and they hold Virginia Tech to a field goal on their last possession as Joey Sly kicks that into the 3rd row. So Brad Kaya, the Canes will come back and go back to work on offense. Tonight at 7, college football presented by Hilton, a huge SEC showdown between undefeated teams. Number 8 Florida, number 6 LSU. It's tonight at 7 on ESPN. And with Will Greer suspended. That means Treon Harris is the quarterback for the Gators.
Dual threat quarterback gets his opportunity, but it comes against a really good defense.
Penalty flag. Somebody jumped.
Offside. Defense. Number 92. Unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's the senior defensive tackle Luther Matty. And this has been a problem for both of these teams this year. A lot of penalties.
Too many penalties. And it comes on two coaches that pride themselves on discipline. So you have to take it to the player, and they've emphasized this. I know the Hurricanes have this week because they felt that eliminate some of the penalties last week, and they have a better chance to win that football game.
You see second most in the ACC, Miami. Mark Walton will get the carry. True freshman out of Booker T. Washington High School. Leads the team with 5 rushing touchdowns. He just had the 1 carry for 3 yards last week. This is a guy they would like to get more involved today. We talked about the running game being a priority this week.
Well, I think that offensive coordinator James Coley wants to see what he has to give, how he can be productive in this offense. So you may see more of Mark Walton today for the Hurricanes offensively.
So second down at 5. Kaya to throw. Looks right. Complete at the 40. And there is Stacy Coley with the big play. Injured his hip last week on that 4th quarter touchdown catch. He's feeling better. Give him 23, and Miami's in plus territory.
He's a spark this offense needs. He can dominate on the inside. He did last week against the Seminoles.
There's Walton again. He is spun and brought down after a 1-yard pickup. Coley missed a couple of games with a hamstring before last week. And like you said, getting him healthy, one of the biggest keys for this offense. There's no doubt that Kaya and Coley have a chemistry.
They do. And he's a guy that really gives you great separation because of his superb route running. He gives the quarterback plenty of a window to fit the football into.
Walton stays in there on second down and 9. Kaya from the gun. Backpedaling throws, caught by Rashawn Scott. That's his first reception. The second time they've targeted him. Deion Clark makes the tackle. He's the leader in the ACC in receiving yards per game. He's at 83. And with Coley not completely healthy, a lot has fallen to him.
Well, Scott's been up to the challenge. He's done a nice job on the outside carrying the load and waiting for Stacy Coley to get healthy. But this offensive line needs some movement here on 3rd and short.
Again, 3rd down hasn't been good for Miami, but they haven't been in a lot of 3rd and shorts. There is Walter Tucker, a big bruiser from Plantation, Florida, who they work in on those short yardage situations. He's going to move the sticks. It's been a lot of 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 for Miami. That's why they're 123rd in the country on 3rd down conversion.
They haven't been very good, and they haven't been consistent enough in protecting Kaya on those 3rd down opportunities.
From the 37. On 1st down, they go back to the ground. Mark Walton, good run. Close to another 1st down as we check in the studio with Brendan. Alabama 15-6 against AP top 10s under Saban. Great game in the SEC and a big test at Kyle Field for the Aggies. They got the 1st down, a little play fake, and another big play. Njoku. It's about 7 more after the catch. Boy, he is a great athlete, the redshirt freshman tight end.
And that's all on Brad Kaya. He sees single coverage to the wide side. He pulls this football away from Walton, and that's just an individual job by quarterback and tight end, and that's a big tight end at 6'4".
And this time Walton nowhere to go, does a good job to get close to the line of scrimmage. And Nigel Williams, the defensive tackle, shoots in to knock him down. It's going to bring up second down. Second down, goal to go here for the Canes.
Clay, I think this is where Miami's had more difficulty running the football, and that's why they've been trying to get those tight end mismatches into the football game, where you get Herndon, maybe split him out wide. You get Dobard in the slot. You get some size with Scott. Instead of going from the X position, you move him into the slot, and you try to win off the line of scrimmage.
Second down, man open, Walton, the catch and a touchdown. And there are flags down as well. 13-yard touchdown reception for Walton, but this might be coming back.
I think it is.
Pass interference, offense, number 23, 15-yard penalty, second down.
A rub route on the outside, and they catch Christopher Herndon maybe with a little bit of more of a pick than a rub.
We're talking about those penalties, and here's one that takes a touchdown off the board.
Top of the screen, here's the guy that's going to come inside and just wall off the defender from Virginia Tech. Just blocks him. Can't do that. If you're running down the field and actually running a route, you're not going to get called, but that was a block when the ball was in the air.
That is the 5th time this year that a touchdown has been called back because of a Miami penalty.
How many times did offensive coordinator James Coley make sure we knew that? That's right.
So now second and goal from the 28. Kaya has time, throws, tipped, incomplete. Lawrence Cager, the intended receiver. And now it's third down and goal.
We've seen the Hurricanes so far today, Clay. They've mixed it up. They've had different formations, different personnel, and now they've seen how Virginia Tech wants to adjust, and it looks like Miami is trying to isolate certain players in the slot to make it easier for Kaya to get rid of the football on time. Here's your matchup right here. This is where you attack if you're Miami.
Draw play, Yearby has daylight, looking for the end zone. It's going to bring up fourth down, but a good run for Yearby is going to make this a chip shot field goal. But unfortunately for the Canes, here they go again, another red zone field goal attempt.
Yeah, they just, you get a penalty on a touchdown. You mentioned that was the 5th one, and Yearby's trying to get this into the end zone. It was a good effort. They get inside the 10-yard line for the chip shot field goal.
So Badgley comes on. The Canes leading the nation in red zone field goal attempts. They've settled for 3 too many times. This one from 24. And it's good. 10-3 Miami. It's 3 weeks. Well, Miami had a first down and goal, John, at the 10. Penalty hurt them. They had to settle for 3, but it was a good looking drive.
It was. They executed well. Again, penalties, though, bring them back and take points off the scoreboard. Good teams and teams that are winning championships, you don't have that happen as much as it's happening to the Hurricanes.
That's another tough test. Number 1 Ohio State Saturday night football presented by Wells Fargo. Penn State, number 1 Ohio State. Buckeyes with that 2-quarterback attack. Cardell Jones, J.T. Barrett.
Barrett was really effective in the red zone for the Buckeyes last week, but they're going up against the 10th-ranked defense in the nation in total defense. So Nittany Lions playing good on that side of the football.
Brendan Motley and the Hokies trying to get something going. They have not looked sharp yet offensively. This is McMillan. He's been doing his part, and he's had his opportunities today. That's a gain of 8 on first down. Frank Beamer and offensive coordinator Scott Loeffler decided after that Pitt game where they mustered just 100 yards of offense and 9 on the ground, that they were going to settle on one back, and it's McMillan. And he's got the first down.
He's a thumper. I really like his size and the way he finishes runs. And last week, 2+ 50-yard runs. Today, you've seen when he gets in the open field, he has that extra gear. He has that burst, but he also finishes runs with toughness, and that's what you like to see.
4 carries, 37 yards already, so he's averaging 9.5 carries so far. He's going to take a breather. Sam Rogers is in there now, number 45. He is like a Swiss Army knife. He can do a little bit of everything.
He can throw it as well.
Under 3 minutes to go here in the quarter. Motley to throw. A comebacker to Cam Phillips. He's going to step out close to a first down. He's the nifty flanker who's a nice complement to Isaiah Ford.
Good route on the Miami sidelines. Really, Corn Elder, the corner for the Canes, was on the ground. Terrific job of sticking that route and coming back to the football.
Second down and a long 2. There's Rogers. And he is hit at the line of scrimmage and forced back. Raphael Kirby, the vocal leader of the Miami defense, also their leading tackler, makes it 3rd down and 1.
He's the thumper inside. He's going to have to come up big again here on 3rd and short.
That defense struggling to get set up. They snap it, and Rogers had an easy lane to the first down. As we check in the studio with Brendan. All right, Brendan, thank you very much. Texas A&M trying to get out to a 6-0 start for the first time since '95. They've got their hands full today.
They do.
On first down, a little play action. Motley stepping up in the pocket. Steps out of a tackle. Another one. He has a first down. A good-looking run to the 36-yard line. Tyreek McCord, the converted defensive end, brings him down, but it's a gain of 14 for the Tech quarterback.
That's the benefit of having Motley play today against the Hurricanes. He gives you the element of being able to escape and beat you with his legs.
They flare it out. There's Ford. He's got a first down. That looked too easy for the Hokies. Ford, of course, coming off that 3-touchdown game last week.
He's a guy that can beat you short, and he can beat you over the top. And he's really good in the red zone because he'll go up and attack the football. You mentioned the 3 touchdowns in the second quarter last week.
McMillan will run it again. Bounces to the outside. Stiff arm. Cuts the corner. Good run for Trayvon McMillan, the redshirt freshman from Woodbridge, Virginia. Picks up 8 when it didn't look like there was much there.
Clay, and that shows you how fast he is. He outran the Miami defense from the far hash all the way to the sideline and picked up 8 yards.
This drive started at the 25. They get it in the hands of Ford again. And he runs for a first down after the catch. And the guys you talked about in your keys, John, are having an impact on this drive.
Trayvon McMillan and Isaiah Ford, those are the playmakers offensively, and those are the difference makers for Virginia Tech so far early in this game.
Virginia Tech back in the red zone. First down, goal to go from the 9. Down a touchdown. Closing seconds here of quarter number 1. Tenth play of the drive. Motley, the pitch. It's a late one. McMillan takes it in. Touchdown. Terrific drive for the Virginia Tech Hokies. And Trayvon McMillan with the touchdown.
And that's kind of a play out of the Seminoles playbook, the speed option. This time in the red zone. That's just great execution. You get Mohammed in space. He can only take the quarterback or the pitch guy. He closes on the quarterback, Motley, and it's easy. It's a walk-in touchdown for Trayvon McMillan.
And we're tied at 10. And that's how the first quarter will end here in Miami. A critical game for both of these teams in the ACC Coastal. And Virginia Tech ends it on an up note with a touchdown reception of 1 yard on the pitch. Motley to McMillan. Back in Miami in a moment. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. We're tied at 10 as we start the second quarter. Alongside John Congemi, I'm Clay Mathick. Look at downtown Miami. We're here at Sun Life Stadium, where both of these teams had a touchdown and a field goal in that first quarter. Joey Sly kicking it deep. And Miami will start from the 25 again. Let's take a look at our Buick Drive recap. Another good one for the Hokies. 10 plays, 75 yards and a touchdown.
And I think this is what offensive coordinator Scott Loeffler really wants. Aggressive, tough running on the inside. Get it to your skill athletes. That means McMillan on the inside and Ford on the outside, and then use that speed option. Boy, it really put Miami in a bind, and good blocking downfield by Isaiah Ford on the McMillan 9-yard touchdown.
Virginia Tech already with 129 yards of total offense. A far cry from 2 weeks ago in that Pitt game when the offense hit rock bottom.
It was not good.
Had 100 yards on the day. Here's Kaya handing off to Yearby. And he'll bowl ahead for 3. Luther Matty on the tackle. First home game since that overtime win against Nebraska on September 19th for these Hurricanes. And they're really good at home. They've won 15 of their last 18 here at Sun Life Stadium. And those 2 straight on the road really brought the fans down on the Canes and especially the head coach. Lost to Cincinnati and, of course, Florida State. Second down at 7. It's Yearby again. He's a tough runner. They love his vision, and Tim Ice Harris is the running backs coach here, the dad of Florida quarterback Treon Harris.
Remember, this offense, Clay, they want to be able to create explosive plays. That they're averaging around, they want to average 8 of those explosive plays. That means you want to have 12-yard running plays and 16-yard passing plays. They want to be able to get those plays down the field to make it a little bit easier for them.
Third down and 5. They pass. Caught. Looks like it's going to be close to a first down for Coley. Adonis Alexander in on the coverage, but it is going to be a first down. Coley limping a little bit. Again, he may not be completely recovered from last week.
Yeah, catching that touchdown against the Seminoles in the end zone. He didn't play after that. He had 7 for 139 and a touchdown. He's a playmaker. He's a guy that you have to try to stay on the football field if he can stay healthy in this game.
Dealt with a hamstring for a while. Currently dealing with a hip injury. That's incomplete. Canes fans want a flag. They're going to get one. Came in late from that far side. Brandon Faison covering Rashawn Scott.
Pass interference. Defense. The ball be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Faison, a very good defender, among the ACC leaders in passes defended, but got in there a little too early.
And it might have been the offhand, because that's a battle you're going to want to watch. 31 on 11. 2 big bodies. There's the hold with the left hand first. So that was a holding call even before the interference with the right hand.
Beamer loves Faison, who was granted a medical hardship after suffering a broken leg last year. He was reclassified a sophomore. First down and 10. Deep shot. Herndon, the intended receiver from his tight end spot. Well covered in the secondary by Chuck Clark. We'll bring up second down and 10. Kaya's got a good arm.
He does. He's a pure pocket thrower, and he's a rhythm type of quarterback, which means he has to get his feet underneath him, and he wants to be able to throw on time. And in order to do that, you have to have pretty good protection, and you have to have those receivers running the routes at the perfect distances and getting in and out of those routes.
Threw for a career high 405 yards against the Knowles last week. That one is caught by Herndon, but immediately tackled by Clark. It's going to be a pickup of 6, well short of the first down. So another 3rd down and about 4 for Miami.
Can they keep Kaya clean on 3rd down, and can he get the football out on time? That's been the problem for the Canes offensively. Too many hits on their quarterback and not enough protection up front. And that offensive coordinator, James Coley, he really stressed that to his players this week.
Kaya completing 61% of his passes this year, but only 37% on 3rd down. He's out of the gun here on 3rd down and 4. Has time. Caught at the 40. First down Miami as Herb Waters brings it in. And the chain gang will run it up the field again. First down from the 36.
Patience by Kaya in the pocket. Watch him retreat after the play action. He knows it's pressure, but he's able to find a good throwing lane, something that he didn't do last week because there was a number of balls batted at the line of scrimmage. That time, he was able to find a window, and he found Herb Waters for the first down.
Waters, one of the few seniors on this Miami team. Walton checks back in at tailback. They feed it to him. And he'll back his way for a couple. That's the 5th big play for Miami today. That reception by Waters.
Well, that's what they want. They want to be able to get those yards down the field so it's not a 12 or 15 play drive. The offensive line hasn't been able to produce those because too many hits on the quarterback. So you want to be able to get those explosive plays down the field. That means runs of 12 or more yards and passes of 16 or more yards.
Last year, Miami beat Virginia Tech in Blacksburg by running all over the Hokies. 364 rushing yards. Big plays have come through the pass so far. There's another penalty flag.
All-start offense, number 67. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's the second of those against that Miami offensive line. Let's check it in the studio with Brendan. And how about that Michigan defense, John? It's been absolutely terrific.
Spectacular. They really has it. And the change at quarterback with Jake Rudock coming over from Iowa has really stabilized that offense.
Good to see that Michigan State rivalry is at a fever pitch again. It's good for college football.
It is.
2nd down and 13 from the 39. Kaya getting some pressure from the corners. Got it downfield, but well incomplete. Waters, the intended receiver again. Kaya had to step up. He could feel the heat breathing on his neck.
And that's something you have to feel as a quarterback. And I think that Brad does a really good job of that. He's worked on his feet. He's worked on it, matching up his upper body. And they do drills every day at practice to be able to climb the pocket, to be able to sidestep and adjust your feet. And he's done a good job of that so far today.
Well, here's another 3rd and long.
This is where it has to show up on 3rd down because that's where the Canes have struggled.
Another play that's stopped before it starts. This time it's going to be against Virginia Tech.
Offside, defense, number 60. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Woody Barron, the nose tackle, getting the start today because Corey Marshall is out with a hamstring injury.
Coach Beamer doesn't agree. He thinks the offense jumped. But you're right. Barron's right over the football. You can't do that and give a free yardage back to the Canes.
Each team with 3 penalties now, kind of what we've seen throughout the year. Both of these teams,
they've hurt themselves.
Heavily penalized.
Both of these teams have hurt themselves with penalties throughout the early parts of the season.
It was 3rd and really long. Now 3rd and not so long for Miami. Draw play. Walton hit, stays on his feet, and we'll get a handful. Daddy Nicholas, the exciting defensive end, got him down. So now 4th down, and the field goal unit comes out again.
And you know Daddy Nicholas wants to play well from up the road in Delray Beach, Florida. He didn't get him the first time, but he ended up getting Mart Walton the second time.
Nicholas dealing with a hand injury this year, starting to play better now as he gets healthier. This is a 49-yard attempt for Badgley, who was already hit from 24. He'll try out these goalposts on this side and equally as successful. And Miami goes back in front 13-10. Good game here in Miami. Big one in the ACC Coastal. Tech territory. They've come away with 13 as Samarine kicks off. And this one will start from the 25 as well. Sunday from 8 a.m. to noon, ESPNU brings you College Football Sunday. Talk about everything college football, from Heisman hopefuls to championship contenders. College Football Sunday, the only show that ranks them all. And I got to assume you're like a lot of folks. Leonard Fournette certainly on your favorites list. Maybe your favorite
has
for
to
Heisman?
be right now. I think so. And a big one tonight.
Terrific game.
Yes.
Florida and LSU in Death Valley.
He can do it against that Gator defense.
Been so impressed with Florida this year under Jim McElwain. His first year as head coach has turned that thing around in a hurry. Hokies going back to work on offense. Down 3. Motley flushed out of the pocket, scrambling to his left, and throws it away. Second down. Brendan Motley so far 70 yards through the air and a touchdown. The lights seemed to come on last week for the junior quarterback.
And it didn't look good early, but that second quarter against NC State, where he found the end zone 3 times through the air, that gave him the confidence, and not only his confidence, Clay, but his teammates. I think they really rallied around the young quarterback.
Rodgers, powerful run across the 30 to the 32-yard line as Harris makes the tackle. The other thing they like about Motley, John, is his toughness. I mean, he has taken a pounding the last few weeks. He's dealt with a sore shoulder, hurt his ankle last week, even had a boot on at practice the last few days, but he's persevered.
Both of these quarterbacks in this game, Brad Kaya and Brendan Motley, they're tough competitors, and that's what you want at the quarterback position.
Hokies 1 for 2 on third down so far today. 3rd and 3. Draw play. Motley will take off. Flag comes in. He got the first down. Let's see what this flag is about as Quan Muhammad made the tackle.
Holding. Offense. Number 1. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Isaiah Ford threw a great block on that touchdown by McMillan earlier, but that time he's called for the hold.
That time it looked like he got a shirt full of jersey on Artie Burns on the outside. The left hand on the shoulder pad really prevents Burns from coming up and closing the gap on Motley. So that's going to send the Hokies back into a longer 3rd down opportunity.
4 penalties now against Virginia Tech. They average over 8 per game, last in the ACC. They need the 35-yard line. Motley being pressured, gets away from Chad Thomas. Thomas hit him again, and it lands incomplete. Thomas with a great recovery after Motley got away from him once. And it's 4th down.
Chad Thomas was relentless coming off the edge. He's going to be down here. He's going to try to get to Motley the first time using a little bit of an up and under move. And then he's relentless on the quarterback and almost gets the strip from behind. But good pressure from Chad Thomas.
6'5", 275, and he moves like he's a much smaller man. Corn Elder calling for the fair catch. Falls down at the 20-yard line and is able to hang in there as Miami has the lead and the football back when we come back with 8:19 to go. Miami's got it back at the 20-yard line, leading by 3. Coley on the catch, and another explosive play for this Hurricanes offense. Clark makes the tackle in the secondary, but it's a gain of 27.
The Hokies cannot cover Stacy Coley, especially when he lines up in the slot. Good protection, good timing, perfect throw, and an athlete with the football in Coley.
Coley 55 yards receiving already on 3 catches. First down and 10 from the 48. Yearby cuts it back. Good run. Face on the tackle. It's a gain of 4. Let's go back to last year. 364 yards on the ground for Miami. James Coley, the offensive coordinator of the Canes, said, at one point I ran it 33 straight times. It's a more balanced attack today. 14 runs, 13 passes.
Well, they did what they needed to do. They started running the football, and they said, why are we going to go away from it? Today, you've seen a little bit of run, but a lot more of Brad Kaya dealing from the pocket.
Picking up yards in chunks. Second down at 6. Yearby hit in the backfield and dropped. That's Luther Matty, who leads that defensive line in tackles. You mentioned it. He's another South Florida native playing in front of family today, so he's inspired.
Yeah, both Nicholas and Matty, those are the anchors up front, and if you don't say their names 5, 6, 7 times in a game, that means the Hokies are struggling defensively up front. Those are the 2 guys that get it done for head coach Frank Beamer.
8 starters back from last year. This was supposed to be another, as you mentioned, elite defense for Bud Foster. It's been good, just not great. Foster's had so many great defenses at Virginia Tech over the years. Another big play, complete this time to Njoku. A big tight end from New Jersey, a gain of 10.
Quarterback's best friend are those big tight ends. Again, the Hokies bring pressure from the secondary, but Kai is well protected. So let's give this offensive line some credit. Doing a better job today.
From their 39, throwing on first down, taking a shot down the sideline. There's contact. No penalty flag intended for Scott. He was doing battle back there with Chuck Clark. Second and 10.
Really like the way offensive coordinator James Coley dialing up those shot plays. He said they were going to try to mix in the run and take advantage of some mismatches, but you can't just go downfield right away. You have to kind of set it up, and he's been doing a nice job of calling the plays and setting up those shot plays.
Yearby gets the call again on second down and 10. We'll get a few, but another third and fairly long for Miami as Vinny Mahota, the defensive end, makes the stop. Here's that play selection for Miami today. Pretty balanced.
Good balance and good, really good yards through those 15 passes. I really liked how Kaya is being protected and delivering on time. And now you have to think, defensively, does Bud Foster come after Kaya or does he play coverage? They haven't been able to get to him when they brought pressure.
Kaya on third down, complete. Yearby, he's going to be cut down though by Matua Puaka, the middle linebacker, and it'll be fourth down. And we'll see what Miami decides to do here.
Good open field tackle by Matua Puaka. Does a great job of getting to the legs of the Miami offensive player, and now it looks like the Canes staying with that offense on fourth down.
Yeah, it would be a 50-yard field goal attempt for Badgley, who was already hit from 49, but they're going to keep him on the sideline. Eighth play of the drive on fourth down and 4. Pressure, throw, incomplete. And Virginia Tech will take over on down. Scott, the intended receiver. There's Matua Puaka, the middle linebacker, doing a good job that time in coverage.
And a low snap may have taken the eyes down of Brad Kaya to lead to that errant throw on fourth down.
So the Virginia Tech defense standing tall. Pressure and Kaya on fourth down. All right, Brendan, thank you. An interesting decision by Al Golden to keep Badgley on the sideline. He had hit a 49-yarder from that same spot in the field, essentially. Golden keeps him on the sideline. It would have been a 50-yard attempt into those same goalposts. They go for it on fourth down, come up empty.
Well, the problem you risk is the good field position now for Virginia Tech offensively. But it looks like the Canes on first down have an answer.
Their starting field position today for Virginia Tech. McMillan gets the carry. No gain. So second down and 10 from the 33. Yeah, and Badgley just nailed that 49-yarder.
Last set of downs, he kicked one from 49 that would have been good from 59, it looked like.
Sam Rogers, the lone setback. Motley under center. He's going to be under center more today, according to Scott Leffler. Finds him middle. It's Isaiah Ford. And he dives down to the 42-yard line. Looking play there by Motley to find his favorite receiver, a gain of 25.
He's the playmaker, and what makes this play is Motley. Watch him by himself sometime. He finds a lane to throw through. He gets outside of the pocket, and he gets it to Isaiah Ford in space.
Running with some tempo now. McMillan stopped and forced back by Kendrick Norton, the big true freshman who was very physical last week against Florida State, getting an opportunity to play a lot here again today.
He's hard to move in the middle at 6'3", almost 320.
Virginia Tech down 3. Just over 3 minutes to go ahead of half.
This could be a shot play. Looks like Miami in man coverage.
Motley with a nice pocket to throw from. Complete again to Phillips. And he's going to be just short of the first down, but certainly manageable now on third down as Kirby made that tackle.
Cam Phillips made that play because he attacked the football. He didn't allow the football to come to him. He went and got the football, closed the distance on the Miami defender.
They flare it out to Phillips. It's a one-on-one battle, and that time it was won by Artie Burns. I do not think he got the first down. It's going to depend on the spot.
It's going to be awful close. Credit Artie Burns. He fought through the block of Isaiah Ford on the perimeter, and it looks like Virginia Tech's going to be just shy of that first down.
Yep, fourth down and inches coming up for the Hokies. Rogers in motion. Motley the keeper, and they'll move the sticks. Artie Burns is a terrific athlete at corner for the Hurricanes. Also a track star. Indoor All-American in track in 2014, and he made a great play to force that fourth down. Man down for Virginia Tech. Augie Conti, the right guard, they're looking at him. We'll step aside. Back here in Miami, 13-10 Hurricanes with under 2 minutes to go here before half. Brendan Motley having a pretty good day. 8 for 11. Over 100 yards and a touchdown pass. And he's got the Hokies on the march again from the 29. They have it first down and 10. Both of these teams trying to avoid a second loss in ACC play. Motley throws across his body, comes back to Malik, the tight end. First down Hokies. Ryan Malik, the veteran tight end from New Jersey.
And we haven't said his name all afternoon, but Ryan Malik, a designed rollout to the wide side. He sneaks to the short side. And this is a strong throw from Motley. Across his body, finds a wide open tight end, and now the Hokies are in business in the red zone.
A shot toward the corner. Isaiah Ford the target. There's Artie Burns in coverage again. And it lands incomplete, out of bounds. Second down. Burns 3 interceptions on the year. Miami's secondary has been fairly opportunistic this season. 8 INTs, second most in the ACC.
And they can use a turnover right now.
Already already had one turnover today forced. More a giveaway by Virginia Tech inside the 5. Motley throws low, incomplete. That was just a bad shot to Isaiah Ford because he was open. Just didn't get it there.
He had his guy on the perimeter, and it looked like the pocket was just closing in on the young quarterback, and he didn't get it. That one just didn't come out right. That one came out low and never had enough height to get it outside to Isaiah Ford.
This is a big play. Could determine who has the lead at halftime.
Never can rule out quarterback run or watching Motley extending the play with his legs.
Third and 10. Motley down. Sacked by Trent Harris, who's having a terrific first half. Second Hurricane sack today. Jermaine Grace, number 5, also in there to help out.
It was Harris, it was Grace, it was everybody wearing green around number 9, Brendan Motley. This pocket is collapsed from the backside. Harris from the backside, and Grace pulls down the young quarterback.
The Hurricanes calling a timeout as Miami is forcing a Virginia Tech field goal attempt with 1 minute and 3 seconds left. Let's check in the studio with Brendan. Yeah, how about that? Ole Miss,
unbelievable.
You're ready to crown them as a college football playoff contender a few weeks back.
You
and
go
now
into Tuscaloosa, right, and you knock off the Alabama Crimson Tide, and now they can't find any consistency in their game.
Joey Slide hit from 30. And this one from 38. Tucked it in there. Just inside that right upright. And with under a minute to go before halftime, we're tied at 13.
Good answer by Frank Beamer's crew. Coming down after the good 4th down stop by their defense. They take the football down the field and answer close to halftime at 13.
Miami's got 2 timeouts and just about a minute to work with. Tonight at 7 on college football, presented by Hilton. A huge game in the SEC. Number 8, Florida. Number 6, LSU in Baton Rouge. Leonard Fournette, of course, a Heisman contender. Running back for the Tigers. He'll be on display tonight. Chick-fil-A college football rankings. LSU having a terrific year. I don't think Florida was expected to be this improved. I think a lot of people thought there would be new energy with McElwain there.
They have athletes.
But holy cow.
Yeah, they've taken a leap, not just a step. And now they're, you know, around the country, people are starting to talk about the Florida Gators again in a good way.
That's tonight at 7 on ESPN. 58 ticks before halftime. Different look. Fielded at the 10-yard line by Walton. And Miami will try and take it 80 yards with 52 seconds to go. Oh, and now some pushing and shoving. This rivalry goes back a long way. We said these two programs came into the Big East together in 1991. And there was 6 straight years back in the early 2000s where when these programs met, they were both in the top 25. Some bad blood that goes back between these programs.
It hasn't always been friendly.
No.
That's for sure, Clay.
And this one very important today, too.
Yeah. And that is why, you know, with 52 seconds left before halftime, this game really provides some momentum to one of these teams. Whoever can survive and get a victory, that's going to propel them in the ACC Coastal.
Kai is going to send 3 receivers to the near side, 1 to the far side of the field. That's Rashawn Scott, leading receiver in the ACC.
If I'm Virginia Tech, I have to find out where Stacy Coley is lined up.
Did Trevor Darling move again? He had 2 bad penalties last week.
Number 73, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Yep. Trevor Darling, the left tackle.
As a head coach, that has to drive you absolutely crazy.
Third penalty today against that O-line. Back him up 5. Back to the 16-yard line. Miami 2 timeouts remaining. Virginia Tech has all of theirs left. They'll run it with Walton. A conservative play here. And some boos coming from the crowd here at Sun Life Stadium. Ekanum and Matua Puaka combine on that stop.
We've got 2 timeouts left, and Virginia Tech ends up taking one of theirs, who had 3. So I would think you may have to reevaluate on 2nd and long and maybe trust your quarterback and Brad Kaya to attack this defense of Virginia Tech.
Especially the way Kaya's been slinging it around. 10 of 17, 142. Leads the ACC in passing, and his arm was the offense last week. The career high, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. Even though it was in a losing effort, he had them on the march with a chance to win the game in the 4th quarter.
He did, and he's the type of guy that you can trust. And I just think in this situation, even if it's first down, you can throw a screen. You can come back and check one down, run some vertical routes, and maybe let your athletes in space help you out and still be aggressive in that nature by throwing the football.
47 seconds to go before the half. Now Kaya checks. They run it again. Mark Walton will get 5. And another timeout.
Late penalty as well.
Penalty flag.
30-second timeout.
Again, some jawing going on down there. That's Brandon Faison talking with the official. You know, if Virginia Tech plays this right and they force Miami to punt, remember, you know, this is one of the best kick blocking teams in the country.
Please reset the game clock to 42 seconds. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 5 of Miami, at the distance to the goal.
Standish Dilbar, the tight end, a little pushing and shoving. He got into it with Daddy Nicholas down there.
Just can't do this in a game right here. First of all, you can't push Daddy, and Daddy does a good job of falling down. And that was great
Daddy
acting.
don't like that.
Daddy did not like that at all, but he ended up getting the yards on the penalty.
And on top of that, he pushed him right into the umpire, which knocked his hat off. The umpire doesn't like it either.
That's right. And that's a guy that doesn't like the way his team is ending this first half, because they played a pretty good football game, tied up at 13, but you don't want to go backwards when you get the football with 58 seconds left.
Did they draw him offside? This is a free play for the Canes, taking a shot. Has a man. Did he haul it in? Yes. Caught by Waters. There's the play the Canes fans were looking for. They take a shot on a free play, and Waters comes up big with a 45-yard reception.
Defense, number 92. That penalty's declined. Result of the play. First down.
Still 34 seconds and 2 timeouts, and now they're in plus territory.
And that's what you have to do. You have athletes. You have the advantage on the outside, and you've got a quarterback that can throw the football. You have to be aggressive when you have a guy like Brad Kaya as your quarterback.
Another explosive play for this offense. They throw it again. Slings it out. Coley this time, who gets to the sideline to stop the clock. That's a gain of 8.
Smart decision by the sophomore quarterback. He knew it was going to be a penalty on Virginia Tech. He gives his playmaker, Herb Waters, a chance to go up and get the football, and that's exactly what he does. Great concentration to come down with that football.
25 seconds to go. Second down and 2. Pressured. Kaya got rid of him. Another flag. Did Kaya get thrown down by Woody Barron? I think so.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. 60. Defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Roughing the passer on Woody Barron. Another critical penalty going against Virginia Tech.
And Barron does a good job of flushing Kaya. You know what? If he just grabs him and holds on to him and doesn't throw him to the ground, he's not going to get the penalty.
Now Miami and Michael Badgley field goal range. They could get more here with 21 seconds to go and 2 timeouts. Kaya pumps, throws, bobbled, and dropped by Yearby. Second down, 17 seconds remaining. Here's Badgley. He's got a 24-yarder and a 49-yarder to his credit already.
If I'm Kaya, I want to look at 2 guys, Rashard Scott and Stacy Coley. How are they playing those guys? Because those are the players that can make space in short areas, and that's what you have to do in the red zone. Create some space in a window for your quarterback.
Looking Scott's way. Nice catch. And he's dropped inside the 10. Rashawn Scott using that 6'2", 203-pound frame to haul that in. It's a gain of 14. 8 seconds remaining. First down, goal to go. Timeout, Canes.
You can thank your quarterback, Brad Kaya, for getting them into position by throwing the football down the field when the penalty was obviously on Virginia Tech. A great catch by Herb Waters, and then the good route down this field. Pretty good pocket. He stands in there tough and firm. And number 11, Rashad Scott, goes up and gets the football. He attacks it on the comeback route right in front of Brandon Faison. He almost breaks the tackle and gets a little bit more, but Alexander there on the tackle. So now you've got 1 timeout remaining and 8 seconds. You got to take a shot at the end zone. Who's your best player to go up and get the football?
We talked about the red zone failures this year, resulting in touchdowns for Miami. All 5 Miami drives before this one into Virginia Tech territory, but only 13 points to show for it so far. Can they finish a drive with 6? We're going to find out.
2 best players offensively to the short side of the field. That's Scott and Coley.
Kaya to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown, Rashawn Scott. 2 big catches on that drive. How about Brad Kaya?
That's the way you close out a half if you're Brad Kaya. You stand tall in the pocket, you get it to your playmakers. Man, that's a seed to the back of the end zone. And Scott did a great job of creating space that I was talking about earlier.
Third touchdown reception of the year for Scott, the senior from Melbourne, Pennsylvania. And the Canes have the lead.
Clay, Rashad Scott ran such a nice route. He's going to get to the back of the end zone and then come downhill straight across. And that's why he gets the separation. He's going to get to the back of the end zone, round it off, use his body, and then try to get downhill and get some leverage for the score. Good protection in the red zone. Step up, climb in the pocket, and throw a seed right past the ear hole of the defender for Virginia Tech. That's just good individual effort. That's man on man. If you win, you get 6. And Miami's got the momentum going to halftime.
7 plays, 79 yards in 54 seconds. Get the go-ahead touchdown. Kaya, well, he's on pace to break last week's numbers. He's already got 216 yards through the air.
And that was a career high.
Darion Green on that return. We're going to halftime with the Hurricanes leading. That big play to Waters on 3rd down with 40 seconds to go. It set up the touchdown.
It really did. A great job by Kaya leading his team down the field. A big score before halftime and a 7-point lead.
Brendan, Charles, and Kevin in the studio.
Create big plays in the offense and find a way to get the Hurricanes in the end zone. 215 first half yards and a touchdown. That's the difference in my mind so far in this football game.
Virginia Tech will start with the football here in the second half. They're going to return it. Darion Green. He's brought down short of the 20. Kaya in that first half, 14 of 22, 215 and a touchdown.
Well, he's a rhythm thrower, and I know offensive coordinator James Coley wants to get the ball out quickly, around 2.5 seconds. So far, Brad Kaya in the first half has done a great job of being able to see it, feel it, and anticipate it in under 2.5 seconds. Here on the touchdown, just a shade over, but that's right where you want it to be. I mean, he did an excellent job of controlling the tempo and the pace in the pocket and still keeping his accuracy high down the field.
Meanwhile, his counterpart, Brendan Motley, who is making his 6th consecutive start with Michael Brewer on the sideline with that broken collarbone. Hands off on the first play of the second half. Cortell Jenkins makes the tackle on McMillan, and it was the play that Motley fumbled inside the red zone on the opening series that led to the first Miami touchdown.
And that gave the Hurricanes a little bit of momentum, but I thought Motley has handled himself quite well. 116 yards, the touchdown, the efficiency's up there. He's going to have to be the difference maker, though, in the second half with his legs. When the Canes bring heat, he's going to have to find a way to move the chains with his legs.
Throws on second down and 9. There's McMillan, who they say is a very good receiver. We see evidence of that on the 9-yard reception and a first down for the Hokies.
He's their best pass catcher out of the backfield, and that's what you need to have in this type of offense. You need some help to offset Ford and Phillips on the outside, and McMillan is just the guy to do it.
We haven't seen J.C. Coleman or Trey Edmonds, the upperclassmen tailbacks who McMillan passed on the depth chart this week. On the 29, McMillan again will plow ahead. Frank's son Shane is the running backs coach, and that had to be a tough decision to put McMillan ahead of the 2 veteran guys, especially Trey Edmonds. I mean, he scored 4 touchdowns against the Canes here 4 years ago. There's McMillan again.
That run right there is why he's in the football game, Clay. That was decisive. That was a burst, and that's a big body going in between those tackles. And this is a guy that's there is no hesitation. There's a little bit of daylight, and he's going north and south.
10 carries now, 59 yards for the redshirt freshman. He has definitely sparked that Hokies running game, which needed it. Motley changing the play at the line. Sprints out. The option pitch. McMillan cuts it up, and he's got daylight. Makes a man miss, and then brought down at the 30-yard line. McMillan is an inspiration to this Virginia Tech offense. Crawford, a touchdown-saving tackle.
Same play that they scored with in the first half, the speed option on the outside, and Miami doesn't set the edge very well on the option. That's twice now that McMillan and Motley were able to utilize that option on the edge.
29-yard pickup. They're in Miami territory now. First and 10 from the 30. Motley looking left, comes back toward the right, throws it to the sideline, and it's intercepted. Motley with another mistake, and Artie Burns has his 4th interception of the year. There are those takeaways, John, you were talking about.
Miami needed the takeaways. They were looking for them. Now they have 2 on the afternoon. A fumble recovery that led to points, and now an interception. It looked like Motley may have panicked just a little bit in the pocket. There was no need to run into pressure that time for the young quarterback, but the ball floats inside, and credit Artie Burns for climbing the ladder in front of Cam Phillips for the interception.
And I think the nose tackle, Calvin Hurtaloo, disrupted that throw enough to help turn that into a pick. And there you see that turnover margin. Miami a +9 coming into the day. They're a +2 in this one, as Virginia Tech turned it over on the first series of the first half and the first series of the second half as well. Yearby out of the backfield. First down and much more. Escorted out at the 45. Joe Yearby with a gain of 33 on first down.
In the Canes attack, they get an interception. What do they do the first play? A big play. One of those plays, explosive plays down the field by Joseph Yearby.
Can't help but think that this is a carryover from that last drive of the first half.
You feel like it is, and those explosive plays really magnify it for the Canes.
Yearby with a couple more. Remember what Al Golden was telling you and I yesterday. Said it's going to be a big play that turns this thing maybe for the rest of the season for this program. We just need something big to happen that we can hang our hat on. And I think that third down catch by Waters of 45 yards on that last series of the first half was it.
That may have been the spark the Canes were looking for, and now they come out defensively and get the football right back for their offense.
Yearby again, that time it's going to be a loss. As Tuipuaka comes in, middle linebacker, and makes the stop, his third game back from the knee injury.
Well, after the big play by Yearby, now this Hokie defense comes up big on first and second down and has the Hurricanes right where they want them. A third and long situation, a 3rd and 8, which Miami has not been through 5 games been able to convert with any consistency. Today, 5 of 9, but up to this point they've struggled on third down.
Play fake. Kaya under pressure, and he almost threw it away. Mook Reynolds, the nickelback, former ESPN 4-star recruit out of North Carolina, forces Miami to kick it away.
Reynolds with the breakup, but good pressure on Kaya in the pocket by the front 4 of the Hokies. Ekanum was the guy last year, had 10 sacks, only a sack and a half, but he was around Brad Kaya to make it a little bit more uncomfortable in the pocket.
Second punt today for Justin Vogel. And a fair catch called for by Greg Stroman. So Miami got the turnover, couldn't do anything with it offensively. This night I want to thank you and Carmela for
had a
great
time.
dinner last night. We enjoyed ourselves. She is a great cook. You not so much.
No.
There's another good run for Trayvon McMillan, who has followed up his performance against North Carolina State last Friday night with another good showing so far today.
Frank Beamer said he's the guy right now, and he knows how to run over you or he can run around you, and he showed us both this afternoon.
Flare it out. That is caught by Calvin Klein, the tight end. 6'4", 237 sophomore. He's from Florida as well, Boca Raton. How'd you like to go through life with that man? Calvin Klein.
Not bad. Everybody thinks you get discounts everywhere, right?
Maybe. Second down and long 3, call it 4, after the Klein catch.
Where's Isaiah Ford? He needs to reappear in this offense.
Well, number 1's been quiet. There's another muffed play as Dwayne Lawson checks in a quarterback, the Wildcat quarterback.
Ball start. Offense. Number 88. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And Ryan Malik, the other tight end, moved too early.
Yeah, you try to get creative and insert that Wildcat, and Lawson hasn't been in the game, and maybe the cadence is off, and Coach Beamer kind of frustrated at the penalty. He wants to know, was it you or those guys that jumped off sides?
4th false start for the Hokies. That makes it second down. Motley back in there, throws it to the sideline. Did he catch it? How about that? Bucky Hodges. You can tell that he's got a professional football future. He's just built, passes the eye test.
I mean, this is just a simple out route, but what a great hands catch and control to be able to have the strength to go out and just catch it with your fingertips and keep this drive alive with now a 3rd and short opportunity because of his exceptional effort.
Hodges is 6'7", 241. I think he's going to play on Sunday. 3rd and 2. Trey Edmonds in for the first time. And he's got the first down. The junior, who's had a Long career with Virginia Tech. Missed most of last year with a broken collarbone. Gets his first touch, and it's a productive one.
Fresh legs coming into the game on 3rd and short. Virginia Tech, this is an important drive for them. They came out with their first drive. They moved the football down, and they gave it up with an interception. They have to come down now and try to get points with their second possession in this 3rd quarter.
Motley steps up in the pocket. Scrambles out of trouble. He's got the first down and more. Artie Burns ran him out, but a good run for Brendan Motley, who is very dangerous on his feet. That's a gain of 22.
That's where Brandon Motley is at his best. When he can create with his legs. Little play action on the jet sweep. You fake that, you step up into the pocket, and now you find daylight. And he uses his speed to the outside to make it a bigger play.
He'll hand off to McMillan again. And he'll get a handful on the outside. And quite honestly, John, that's what Michael Brewer really doesn't offer Virginia Tech.
He doesn't. And it's not that he's mobile, but he doesn't have the running ability or the style like Motley. And it looked like Motley was a little banged up. He was limping after that long run. And when he went to hand off to McMillan there, it looked like he struggled to get back to the running back. That's something to watch from the redshirt junior quarterback.
Michael Brewer available today, but they're taking a cautious approach with the Virginia Tech quarterback. Still recovering from that broken collarbone suffered in week 1. There's Klein again. No gain on the play. In fact, maybe a loss of 1. So to bring up 3rd down for Virginia Tech. And a timeout call as Ralph Kirby is down. Under 7 minutes to go here, 3rd quarter. 20-13 Miami. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Whether you drive 100 yards or 100 miles, choose Goodyear tires for superior performance. Goodyear, more driven. Bad news for the Miami defense. Leading tackler Raphael Kirby helped off, and he slammed his hand down when he got over to that training table. I don't know if that's an indication he was told he's not going to be able to return. There's Trayvon McMillan on the catch, and the defense responds for the Canes. And Kirby's backup, Jawan Young, makes the tackle along with Burns.
Well, that was a great individual effort by Young at linebacker. He's fighting with the offensive tackle on the screen and still gets to the running back. Right side of your screen, 51 in green. He's going to go outside with the block and then eludes Conti and is able to get to the running back in McMillan.
This will be a 51-yard attempt. It would be a career long. Too many men.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Too many men on the field for Miami.
That's going to make this try a lot easier for Frank Beamer's special teams unit.
Yeah, that makes it a 46-yard attempt. And in fact, it's going to change Beamer's decision here. He's going to bring Brendan Motley and the offensive unit back up. Oh, those penalties today have really been a storyline.
They really have it. I'm not so sure, if Motley is 100% to use his legs. But that's what you have to consider here, quarterback run, and I think Miami's going to take a timeout.
They're still having trouble getting the right defensive group out there.
But that's the right thing to do. If you're unsure of what your personnel is, you better take a timeout and get organized.
20-13, 4th and 4 for Tech coming up. Up for the Hokies. They have scored every time they have marched into Miami territory today. McMillan in the backfield. Motley out of the gun. Going to try and throw. Incomplete. No flags. Tracy Howard knocks it away from Sam Rogers, and the Canes take over on downs.
The Miami defense does a great job of forcing the football to maybe the fourth or fifth option in Sam Rogers. This is not where Motley wanted to go with the football, but wow. Good coverage, but tight coverage by Tracy Howard. That could have been called pass interference. It looked like that left hand was all over the back of Sam Rogers. I think Frank Beamer agrees with that.
We've seen a lot of penalty flags today.
We certainly have.
And that time, the penalty flags stay in the pockets of the officials. Here's Kaya now going back to work, but he gets dumped. A sack by Matty. Going to bring up second down and long. Here's Brendan in the studio. You're seeing more of that now, guys that are playing on both sides of the ball in specialty packages.
Get your best athletes on the field with the football.
Kaya on 2nd and 18 after the sack, goes over the middle, and Herndon, the tight end, makes the catch out around the 25-yard line. And Tua Puaka, another tackle. He's very active today. Another third down and long. But again, Miami, like we saw in the second half of the Florida State game, has been better on third down today.
And Bud Foster, the last couple of times on third and long, he's played coverage. Let's see if he changes it up and tries to confuse the scheme up front of that offensive line and coming after Brad Kaya.
They're 50% so far. Kaya feeling the heat. Hit as he throws, and it lands harmlessly incomplete at the 35-yard line, but he took a punch from Tua Puaka.
Tua Puaka comes from the short side and nobody around him. He's going to come from the outside. He's here, and he's going to beat the protection around the corner. And Kaya has really nowhere to go with the football. Yerby comes in to pick up Alexander, who's blitzing from the middle. And that's a good scheme call by Bud Foster, the defensive coordinator.
First 3 and out of the game for either team. Stroman to return this punt. Great coverage by the Hurricanes. Jaquan Johnson firing down there to drop Stroman. That's another tough test for #1 Ohio State tonight. Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo in the Big Ten. Penn State and the Buckeyes. 8 Eastern on ABC, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. We talked about Leonard Fournette earlier. Boykin for TCU, he's certainly in the Heisman conversation, but Ezekiel Elliott, someone that you got to watch.
10 touchdowns, averaging almost 7 yards per carry. He's going to go up against a defense only allowing 14.3 points per game. That's tied for 11th in the country for Penn State.
Looking to throw on first down, and Motley is dumped. Able to hang on to the football. And Motley apparently didn't hear the whistle because he's being spotted down at the 20-yard line. At least by one official he is.
I'm not so sure the officials are marking the spot where they thought they had the sack.
Here's Dwayne Height. Maybe he can tell us what happened there because we're confused.
The ball carrier's knee was not down. The legal play, second down.
Wow.
And this was a dangerous tackle or attempt at a tackle. It looked like there was hands around the neck area. Boy, it sure looks like the quarterback's down there with his left knee and his left leg.
Yeah, they're going to look at this again.
Yeah.
And they should.
Good pressure by the Hurricanes off the edge. Chad Thomas coming around the edge, and it almost looked like Motley's left leg, or at least his hip, may have hit the ground right there. He's on a leg of the defender, but that knee is touching around the 19-yard line, it looks to me.
It's got to be indisputable video evidence to overturn it, and it sure looks like his knee was down. And And if that's the case, it'll be the second sack for Chad Thomas today.
The smart thing to do by Motley was to get up and play, because you know, if you don't hear any whistle, you want to get up and make a play, and it would have been a gain of about or close to 5 yards.
He was ruled not down. Got up, ran it to the 30-yard line, but if this is overturned, he's going to be down at the 20 after that sack. Joe Ryder is our replay official upstairs.
And if he is ruled down around the 20, it's going to be a loss of about 7 yards. This Miami defense starting to create a little bit more pressure in the pocket. They're doing a good job with their edge rushers getting upfield on the tackles from the Hokies.
The ball carrier's knee was down at the 19-yard line. Second down.
Yep, second down and long now for the Hokies, and credit Thomas with a sack.
Thomas coming flying around McLaughlin on the tackle for the Hokies, and it does look like that knee touches down right there at the 19-yard line, even though his body is on top of his teammate.
Yep, that's where they spotted at the 19. Been impressed with this Miami defense at times today. Last year they allowed 330 yards per game, 14th in the nation. They have fallen off quite a bit this year, but better efforts so far today. To Hodges, incomplete. Third down and long.
And that ball may have been tipped at the line of scrimmage, trying to get the ball out to their big tight end, their playmaker on the edge in Hodges. Let's see if Thomas gets a finger on it. I think he does. That's 2 plays in a row on the sack, and now the tip, the batted ball at the line of scrimmage for Chad, the sophomore out of Miami, Booker T. Washington.
Tech has struggled on third down today.
Again, where is Isaiah Ford? You have to try to get him involved.
Motley intercepted. Jawan Young. Raphael Kirby went out of the game just a little bit ago with what appears to be a knee injury. Young, his replacement, doing well.
Well, it looked like he was locked in the entire way trying to get the football to Ryan Malik. His eyes are crossing the tight end. The tight end kind of stops, and the guy that keeps going is Jawan Young. He read the quarterback Motley the entire time, and 2 big plays replacing Raphael Kirby at that middle linebacker position.
Third turnover for Tech, second interception thrown by Motley. Great field position for Brad Kaya and the Canes.
And now you attack.
Walton gets to the outside. First down, Miami, as he is pushed out at the 16-yard line.
There's the speed you're waiting from Mark Walton to see. Boy, he does a good job of going from 0 to 60 on the wide side of the field. This just a burst to the outside, and nobody in a white jersey can come close.
True freshman out of Booker T. Washington High School. He stays into pass protect. Kaya to the end zone. Contact. Flag down. Rashawn Scott. And maybe Brandon Faison with the PI.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 31. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Faison, who's very dependable, has had a tough day.
Those two have been going at it the entire afternoon. A lot of pushing and shoving. I think the contact was even a little bit earlier by Faison, but he extends that right and then left hand and never really turns to play the football. And that's what the officials ultimately are looking for. Even if there's some contact, if you can turn and make a play on the football, you've got a chance to keep that hanky in your pocket.
Well, First down and goal for Miami. They've had great field position a couple of times today, even though they've had red zone troubles this year. But there's the offensive line with a false start again.
False start. Offense. 52. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Casey McDermott.
I know Casey's rusty, not playing in a long time, coming back from injury today. But you can't make those mistakes, especially in the red zone. You have to keep your poise. And I know offensive coordinator James Coley, he's going to echo that same sentiment again this week, because that was really emphasized the 5 days leading up to this game.
Only 46% of their trips in the red zone have resulted in a touchdown. Walton, great effort, gets to the half-yard line before he is brought down. Second down and goal to go for the Canes.
Boy, is he elusive in a short space. There was nothing but white jerseys, and he made everybody miss.
Well, this team, which has been maligned in the last couple of weeks by some of their fans, didn't get in. Chuck Clark stopping Walton for no gain. So now third down and goal.
Wow, that's a great effort by Clark, getting airborne and meeting Walton at the 1-yard line. This Tech's defense is tough, and they're especially tough when their backs are against the wall. Right now, Miami's trying to throw a knockout punch, but Clark and his teammates had other ideas there on second down. Can they do it one more time? Now Kaya under center, which is a little bit different for the Canes.
Send the tight end in motion. Kaya lost it, has to fall on it at the 5, and now it's fourth down. And these fans are saying, oh my, not again.
Well, you mentioned going under center. This is something that he's not used to doing, especially at the goal line. So you have a center quarterback exchange problem, and the ball kicks back to the 5-yard line. That's something that needs repetition, and especially at the goal line. If you haven't done it and taken the reps in a game situation, you're going to have mistakes like that.
They had it first down and goal to go from the 2. And they have to settle for a Badgley field goal. 23-13 as Miami settles for 3. Let's go to the studio in Brendan. There's Chuck Clark, the defensive back for Virginia Tech. They keep Miami out of the end zone, but that's more Miami hurting themselves than it is Virginia Tech playing good defense.
It was a great effort by Clark, but you mentioned, or I mentioned, when you go under center and you're a quarterback that's not accustomed to that, it's different down in the red zone. That ball's coming up. You have to ride that center, and if you haven't been under center in a long time, I mean, I'm not so sure I've ever seen Kaya under center. Those are just mistakes with the penalties and the fumble exchange. Boy, it takes points off the board.
Semarine with a short kick. He fielded it at the 4-yard line. McMillan. And he's dropped at the 20-yard line. Now, well, there's another flag on the field.
During the return, block in the back, 37, receiving team.
Another penalty against the Hokies, and they've had a lot of miscues today.
They really have. They've hurt themselves with turnovers, and it started early in this football game with Motley trying to throw the football. The ball comes out, he fumbles, and the Hurricanes cash in for 6 points. Here, you run into pressure because you're not used to settling in the pocket. Another turnover, and then Juwan Young, who replaced Raphael Kirby, comes up with a huge interception. So Motley has to take it easy. It's only 23-13. Plenty of time left to go in this football game. And you make a change at quarterback with Michael Brewer.
Brewer out since the third quarter of the Ohio State game, week 1. The Texas Tech transfer. Played so well last year for the Hokies. Comes in here late in the third quarter, down 10. And he hands off on the first play. McMillan across the 10 to the 12. Michael Brewer, the senior from Texas, was cleared early last week. They did not play him against North Carolina State, but they feel they've got to get to him here.
He has experience. He's a gritty quarterback. He's a good thrower of the football. And this offense really expands with him there.
McMillan takes a pop about a yard short of the first down. Kamalu on the stop. He's got to be careful, though. That collarbone has a plate, 6 screws in that shoulder, and the wrong hit, and he's probably done for the year. But at this point, he probably was begging the coach to put him back in.
Yeah, especially if he was cleared last week. He couldn't wait to see the field.
We'll see if
At the end of the third quarter,
Michael Brewer's entrance into this football game makes a difference for Virginia Tech in the fourth quarter, as Miami has a 10-point lead going to the fourth in this big game for both programs at the midway point in the season. Fourth quarter on the way from Miami. Michael Brewer back in at quarterback for Virginia Tech for the first time since that injury. Week 1 against Ohio State, suffered a broken collarbone. It has healed nicely according to the training staff of Virginia Tech. But we got to believe he's a little rusty, but Virginia Tech needs him. Brendan Motley threw 3 interception passes today.
And that's been the difference in this game. And you need more experience at the quarterback spot. And for this fourth quarter, no one better than Brewer.
First play of the fourth quarter, and it's a handoff to Trey Edmonds. Takes it up the middle. Nice run just shy of the 45. Young on the tackle. 7-yard gain for Edmonds.
I think the big thing that when we talked to offensive coordinator Scott Loeffler last night, he talked about getting to the pass offense, more of the offense with Michael Brewer at quarterback. That's nothing to slight Brendan Motley, but it's just more experience and a better vision down the field to be able to fit the football in and expand your offense of capabilities.
Brewer threw for 2,700 yards and 18 touchdowns last year. Play clock winding down. They hand it off to McMillan, and he is read well by the defense. Ball comes out. Still loose. And Virginia Tech recovers at the 7-yard line. Michael Brewer had a beat on it for a bit, but he didn't want to jump on it and have guys piling on him. It was Malik who recovered it.
Good penetration at the point of attack by Miami. Seemed like Mohammed was the first player there, and then Brewer's trying to scramble for the football. That's the last player you want to be swimming on the ground inside of Sun Life Stadium.
Now they're backed up, second down at 27 from the 7. There's a loss of 17 yards. Brewer complete on the slant to Cam Phillips. They get a chunk back. Third down and long. Young makes the tackle after the 9-yard pickup.
Good pass protection, good poise by Brewer, backed up inside of his own 5-yard line.
There's Motley on the sideline. Threw 3 picks today. Should say turned it over 3 times. 2 interceptions.
Miami's been winning on the edges with their defensive ends. Virginia Tech has to put a stop to that.
Brewer steps up, unloads over the middle, incomplete. But there is a flag. Maybe roughing the passer.
personal foul. roughing the passer. 95, defense, 15-yard penalty.
It's on
First
Anthony
down.
Moten.
These penalties have been absolute killers to the Miami Hurricanes. This is just a bad decision. This is a terrible decision by Anthony Moten.
And he hit that sore left shoulder to boot.
You're going to get off the field, and Al Golden's going to get his offense teed up at pretty good field position. Just got to know when to lay off.
So you had Virginia Tech backed up inside the 10. Then you take a penalty like that. You're Al Golden. You're not happy right now. This is Rogers. Cuts it back up. Good run up the middle. Second down at about 4.
Clay, you can feel, even with that penalty, I mean, you can feel a little bit of momentum getting on the Virginia Tech Hokie side. I mean, they've got their quarterback back with a lot of experience. He can throw the football down the field. Miami has to put a stop to this now because it's only a 10-point game.
Each team with 8 penalties now. It's not just the number of penalties, it's the time that they happen and the amount of yardage against. Rogers stopped about a yard short, so 3rd and manageable for the Hokies. McCord, the outside linebacker, makes the stop.
If Virginia Tech can stay ahead of the chains and not take negative plays, I think they can play a little bit more physically at the line of scrimmage right now and be able to grind it out and then wait for their opportunity for Brewer to maybe find a Ford or Phillips down the field.
Michael Brewer under center on 3rd down and 1. Edmonds, the tailback, gets it. Hit and dropped as the Hurricanes stop him and force a 4th down. There is McCord again with the tackle.
Clay, I think you punt the football away here. You got to play field position and hope your defense can maybe get a turnover. But that's a terrific defensive stand by the Hurricanes after making a bad penalty to extend the drive.
There's Mark D'Onofrio, 5th-year defensive coordinator, longtime Golden assistant. Second punt for A.J. Hughes today. Corn Elder standing at the 15-yard line, hoping for a return. He's going to let it bounce. And it takes a Hokies roll inside the 15 to the 10. We step aside with 10:39 to go in Miami. It's a 10-point game. Along with our ESPN crew, good to be here in South Florida today. This game in the ACC Coastal between Miami and Virginia Tech, alongside John Congemi. I'm Clay Matvick. Miami backed up deep in their own territory, looking to pass on 1st down. Is Kaya able to get back to the line of scrimmage? Did the ball come out? The Hokies are pointing as if they've recovered. And tempers flaring again as they unstack the pile. Kaya got back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Good pressure by the Hokies on 1st down. They may have had a swipe at the football twice. There's Nicholas, who almost strips it the first time. There's the ball out. It's definitely out. Miami gets back on it. Very fortunate. That would have teed up Virginia Tech and return serve from the fumble that they had in their opening drive.
Yeah, Miami hasn't turned it over yet today. 3 for Virginia Tech. Second and 10, just outside the 10-yard line. Walton in the game, a tailback. He bobbled it, and he's hitting the backfield, able to get maybe a yard. A couple of plays that Miami sideline pause. Here's our game track brought to us by Taco Bell.
Motley 136 yards passing, but the 2 interceptions brings in the quarterback Michael Brewer, but Kaya's been impressive throwing the football. with a touchdown and over 200 yards again. It's been the field goals that Virginia Tech has really forced the Hurricanes to kick in the red zone again, and that's been a theme for the Hurricanes all season.
Yeah, that's kept Virginia Tech in this game, no doubt. Kaya backpedaling. And that comebacker incomplete. Another late hit, it looked like. Njoku and Rashawn Scott were in the vicinity of that pass. Lands incomplete. Now Miami's going to have to punt, and Virginia Tech ready to get good field position.
And let's credit Virginia Tech and that defense. They do a terrific job as Linder, it looks like Nick Linder goes at the feet of a Hokie. Alexander a little bit late, but that's not called. But the Hokies are going to get the football back around the 50-yard line.
Vogel from the end zone. Stroman, watch this sail out of bounds. Second 3 and out for Miami today. Hokies with decent field position, down 10 with under 9 to go when we come back. Dominated that statistic here in the second half, but no points on the scoreboard since halftime. This is a critical drive for the Hokes.
Especially taking over around the 50-yard line.
Michael Brewer into the football game. Floats one to Malik, the tight end. And the catch made, and he's down at the 31.
It wasn't his prettiest pass, but it might have been his most effective in the short time he's been at quarterback for the Hokies today. Good pressure in the pocket, but you stand tall in there. It might have been tipped by Thomas again, but a terrific catch by Malik down the field.
Motley comes back in on this play. Brewer to the sideline. He's given them good field position here. First down and 10. Just over 8 minutes to go. Motley sprints out, and he's hit in the backfield. That's going to be a loss of about 5. Dion Bush, the safety, came up, stuck him, and planted him.
Mr. Everything for the Hokies. Sam Rogers just ran right by Dion Bush, and that allowed Bush to get to Motley. He just overruns the block, and he really olayed Bush to the inside to have a clear shot at Brendan Motley.
Bush, a hard-hitting safety. 6th tackle for loss today for the Canes. There's only a loss of 2, so second down and 12. Brewer back in there. Heaves her toward the end zone, has a man down there, it's caught! Isaiah Ford! Touchdown, Virginia Tech! What a play! Brewer to Ford.
And what a shot that Brewer takes in the pocket. You want to talk about a tough competitor coming back from a plate and 6 screws in his left shoulder. That was one heck of a throw. The only question is Ford in bounds after catching it? Wow. Not only the right foot, it looks like the right foot lands right at the goal line. I think the left one gets in too.
Isaiah Ford had 3 touchdown catches last week. And did he get this one?
That takes absolute concentration by quarterback and wide receiver. You know you're going to get hit in the pocket, and Isaiah Ford knows he's going to take a shot at the end of this, but he had great separation for the very first time away from Artie Burns, and I think that right foot, the toe hits and breaks the plane of the goal line, and then he got the left one in. I'm not so sure the right heel ever hits out of bounds.
That's tough to tell. Third touchdown pass of the year for Brewer. It's huge. Virginia Tech back in this one. Isaiah Ford with his ACC leading 7th touchdown reception of the year.
Partner, I kept asking for Isaiah Ford when he was going to show up.
He's back.
He showed up with 7:20 left to go in this football game.
The lead is 3 for Miami. Tech takes advantage of the great field position. In 1 minute and 27 seconds, It's a touchdown drive. Brewer stands in there, takes a hard hit despite that sore shoulder, and Ford with his 7th touchdown catch of the year. Mentored Motley, but now he's back in there, delivers a great throw to Ford to get Virginia Tech back in this game.
Very timely.
Miami needs to get it going offensively. They have just the field goal here in the second half. They'll start from the 25. Sunday from 8 a.m. to noon, ESPNU brings you College Football Sunday. Heisman hopefuls, championship contenders, they'll rank them all. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. TCU and Iowa State tonight. Baylor taking care of West Virginia today. I think it's going to be hard for the Big 12 to be shut out of the college football playoff this year should everything stay the same with those two programs.
And it's going to be hard to outscore Baylor and TCU this year.
First and 10 from the 25. There's Yearby. He's been kept in check today. Daddy Nicholas excited to be back in his home state. Makes the tackle. Miami in the second half. A punt on its first possession. A punt onto the second possession after a 3-and-out. They had a 21-yard field goal that they had to settle for after that fumble in the red zone. And then on the fourth possession, another 3-and-out and punt.
The Hurricanes have to reestablish the line of scrimmage. They haven't been able to run the football or pass protect cleanly in this second half for Kaya.
Kaya eludes the rush, complete to Waters, and he's out to midfield. Waters with a 27-yard catch and a first down.
And credit Kaya for just subtly stepping up in the pocket to avoid the pressure. Lock in on a wide receiver in number 6, Herb Waters, for a big play that gets the football to midfield. And Kaya's been doing a terrific job in the first half. In the second half, been a little bit more quiet, 50% for only 55 yards. But that one, a big one to kind of get the juices flowing offensively for the Hurricanes.
That was their 6th play today of 20 yards or more. Play clock inside of 5. End around. There's Coley. Finds a seam. First down. And he's to the 35-yard line of Virginia Tech. Gain of 15. Clark finally makes the tackle.
More explosive plays starting to show up for the Miami Hurricanes, and that's what their offensive coordinator James Coley wants. Good subtle movement in the pocket by Brad Kaya. Finding Waters earlier, and now the end around to one of your playmakers, Stacy Coley. Good design, good blocking out in front of Coley, and he moves the chains again. Now the Hurricanes finding their rhythm here in the fourth quarter.
Virginia Tech brings everybody up to the line. Yearby squeaks ahead for a few. Tuipuaka makes the tackle. That's a gain of 3 for the Hurricanes. Second down as we march toward the 5-minute mark here of the football game. Miami leading by 3. A touchdown would be huge because this game's getting long in the tooth.
This is where you don't want to settle for a field goal, and that's something the Hurricanes have done almost as much as anybody in the country when they get down to the red zone. They want to score from distance here. Get a shot play into the end zone to one of your playmakers. That'll cure a lot with 4:46 left to go.
That's Yearby looking for room on the outside. He is tracked down quickly by Clark, who has had a great senior season, leading all ACC linebackers in tackles for loss coming into this one. So now third down again here for Miami. It's not a 3rd and long, mind you, but again, third down, especially in critical situations for James Coley's offense, hasn't been a strong suit for this team this year.
No, and he has to play the chess match with defensive coordinator Bud Foster. Is Foster going to bring extra pressure, or is he going to let the front 4 try to get the quarterback?
Kaya wants to throw, gets away from pressure, steps out of the pocket, still looking downfield, throws, and it's caught! What a play! Going over the defense, Njoku hauls it in. First down and goal to go Miami.
Brad Kaya just wheels himself to this play. Daddy Nicholas had him in the backfield. He's the only one that can make a play, and then Kaya escapes the would-be sack and puts the football up to where only his wide receiver, his tight end, could catch the football. That's a great individual effort by 15.
They run it, Yearby. Inside the 5, down at the 3. And timeout called by Virginia Tech. Frank Beamer has 2 remaining with 3:31 to go. We'll take a timeout as well. Back in a moment. Back here in Miami, this is where Bud Foster's defenses over the years have really been great. Critical moments, that's one right now as Miami is on the doorstep. Leading by 3. Yearby gets the handoff, and he is stopped near the line of scrimmage. It's going to bring up 3rd down and goal, John.
This Virginia Tech defense has been relentless inside the 5-yard line. They've done such a great job of getting penetration and getting to the running back or getting to the quarterback. And Miami, their red zone this year and today has not been good.
Fortunately for them, they've got a pretty good field goal kicker in Badgley. I mean, he's picked up some of the slack by kicking field goals, but settling for 3 is not what Miami wants here. They want to put Virginia Tech away. 3rd down and goal. Play fake. Kaya looks right, comes back left. Touchdown! Scott! Oh, and there's a penalty flag. Bragging a little bit too much. But the damage done.
And that's all Brad Kaya. That ball was supposed to go to the right side of the field.
Touchdown. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 1 on the offense. That is number 1 first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game. Correction, number 11. That is number 11. First unsportsmanlike conduct of the game.
Good pass protection, good poise by Kaya. He looked right, he looked left, and there's the penalty afterwards for taunting by Scott.
You know, you can almost understand it from these Miami Hurricanes, the kind of pressure they've been under here the last few weeks. Scott wanting to cut loose after that touchdown. And Badgley comes on for the extra point to make this a 10-point game again.
One more look at this touchdown by Brad Kaya and this offense for the Hurricanes. This ball is supposed to go to the short side of the field on a short corner route after the play action. Kaya is going to look there first, but the Hokies do a great job of getting a man on a man. You got 2-on-1 to the short side, but the offensive line, the protection was so good that Kaya was able to come back. He looks at Waters, didn't like him, but he finds his leading receiver in Rashad Scott on the inside for 6 points. That's just good poise, good protection, and a guy pulling the trigger that has ice in his veins.
Scott's 2nd touchdown catch of the day. Kaya hooked up with him on that critical drive at the end of the first half, and a drive late here in the second half, which might be the haymaker in this game. There's still a lot of time on the clock, but we'll see. But Kaya goes to Scott again in a critical moment.
And Clay, that's when the Hurricanes needed 6. They couldn't settle for a field goal that time, which they have in past games and earlier today. They finally get the touchdown when they needed it the most.
Virginia Tech has a couple of timeouts left and 2:44 on the clock right now. Semarine will kick into the wind here. McMillan back deep. It's a short kick. McMillan from the 8 to the 25, and he stopped at about the 27-yard line. 2:36 to go in Miami. We check in with Brendan in the studio. Brendan, and that's who Miami has up next. They host Clemson next week. Another signature win opportunity. The Canes didn't get it done in Tallahassee last week. If they can get this one taken care of, they go into that Clemson game, and if they could pull off an upset there, all of a sudden things look completely different than they did just a few hours ago.
It will change the landscape for the Hurricanes, that's for sure.
Brewer to the outside, and he's intercepted. Artie Burns with the interception. His second today.
And that should do it for the Miami Hurricanes, and they come up with a defensive stop late in the football game. That's just Artie Burns running a better route than Isaiah Ford. Ford never really comes back for the football. The ball is on the inside. Michael Brewer wanted to place that football to the outside, but that's good instinct and not a very good route on the outside.
5 interceptions on the year now for Burns, and Brewer trying to make a play, but he's still got a lot of rust in that arm after being off the last 5 weeks recovering from that broken collarbone.
Well, you're in a situation with 2:30 left to go in the game. You got to throw the football down the field and make something happen.
They're going to try and burn as much clock as they can. Yearby on the run, Clark on the tackle. 2:20 to go. Virginia Tech has a couple of timeouts remaining. And I'm sure there are a lot of Tech fans who are wondering, why didn't Frank Beamer just decide to start Brewer right away in this game?
Well, they were trying to err on the side of caution, because even though Brewer had the clearance last week, you have a guy in Motley that had some momentum built from last week, and he played pretty well early in this football game. Made some plays with his arm, made some plays with his legs, but it got to the point that it was one too many turnovers from the position.
Yearby again, he's upended after a 1-yard pickup. Tech calls a timeout. They have 1 left. Our AT&T strong performance today. Brad Kaya from start to finish.
There's no question. He is in complete command of this offense. Nice touch pass down the middle of the football field to Yearby. Found his favorite target on Scott on numerous occasions, and he even extended plays to be able to keep drives alive. And then when it mattered most, he found the end zone on the quick slant. Brad Kaya is a difference maker.
One of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. Just shy of 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Good decision maker, the sophomore from Los Angeles.
Now he's got 10 touchdowns on the year and only 1 interception. He also protects the football, something very important out of that position.
Motley and Brewer commiserating. Turnover problems for both of those quarterbacks here today. Yearby lowers the shoulder. They'll depend on the spot, but it looks like a first down. Not such a good spot.
No. It's going to be very close, and that was a great second effort by Joseph Yearby at the end of that run. That's what you like to see. Running backs that finish runs. We saw that from McMillan for the Hokies, and that time on that play, Yearby finishes the run.
Yearby and Walton combining for a 100-yard game. Not a dynamic run game, but that was certainly part of the game plan for Miami today, and I think they executed it well enough to set up the passing.
And they wanted to change that offensive line to maybe help with the pass protection, maybe help with the surge at the line of scrimmage as the Canes just come up a couple links short.
Al Golden trying to get that first ACC win. They host Clemson next week, then at Duke, which came into the week tied for first in the ACC Coastal. They're on bye this week. So there are some big win opportunities out there for Miami. And, you know, everybody was talking after that Florida State loss, just what a shambles things are in Coral Gables. You know, but he was telling us this week, and I said it at the top of the broadcast, he put on a good face for us. He said, you know, all of the goals as far as the ACC Coastal are out there. We've got great opportunities for signature wins. And he likes the way his quarterback is playing. The defense showed some things today. Maybe they can get this thing righted yet.
The one thing that both of these teams need to do is eliminate the penalties that are self-inflicted. You know, the jumping off sides, the personal fouls. If they can eliminate those, they've got a chance.
Kaya. First down. And Miami will be able to run out the clock. You mentioned the mistakes, specifically the penalties, but this one is going to feel good for the Miami Hurricanes going into that big one against the Tigers next week.
A lot of coachable moments, I think, on both sides leading into next week's games. But there is a lot of pressure off of that head coach right now.
0-5 against Florida State. That's the biggest beef with the fans. But fans and media have been harder on him than Blake James, the AD. He's been very patient, not ready to make a move just yet, stating that he's going to wait till the end of the season to evaluate the Canes and head coach Al Golden.
Well, they can celebrate this one, and it was a hard-fought victory over the Hokies today. I know that this staff put in a lot of hours, as did the other side, and they come up with a 10-point victory in an ACC Coastal that could go in a lot of different directions. And I don't think the Canes are done. And Virginia Tech, they have to rally and get ready for Duke next week at home.
Four turnovers for Virginia Tech. Big story in this game. Miami gets the win. They're first in the ACC. A sigh of satisfaction for Al Golden and the Canes, now 1-1 in the conference going into the game with Clemson here next week. Virginia Tech, they fall to 1-2 in the ACC, 3-4 overall. Brewer appears to be back. That's the good news. But they've got their first losing record through 7 games since 1992. 30-20, Miami with the win. For John Congemi and our entire crew, I'm Clay Matvick. We say so long from South Florida, and we head to the studio.